Hello, everyone. I'm Bo from Brutal Commentary, and today I'm going to be breaking down our main event for UFC Qatar. In this one, we have a lightweight title eliminator as the number one contender, Arman Tsarukyan, takes on Dan the Hangman Hooker. This is one of those matchups that is just really, really fun for fans. A young, highly skilled fighter in Tsarukyan facing off against a seasoned veteran in Dan Hooker. The stakes are high, and this is one that can be an absolute showcase for MMA talent. I guess to give the context in this one, it's kind of very important for Arman Tsarukyan. Let's be real here. Now, obviously, it's important for Dan Hooker because this is confirmed to be a title eliminator. Whoever wins this fight will fight Ilia Topuria next year for the lightweight belt. Now, as for who Topuria is fighting until then, I got no clue. I know it's going to be next year. It's either going to be Justin Gaethje or Paddy Pimblett, I suppose. I mean, I don't think either deserve a shot, but whatever. Specifically for Arman Tsarukyan, this is a very important fight because he was scheduled to take on Islam this January for the belt until he pulled out on literally the last possible second you can think of, literally a day, or the ceremonial weigh-ins. So, Hinato Moicano stepped in to face Islam. And since then, the UFC have essentially been punishing Arman Tsarukyan for that, which you can think it's unfair. You can think, it's, the right call to make. I'm sort of in between on that one. While I do believe that Arman now has to earn his title shot again, which I do believe is fair. At the same time, though, I do think he's the rightful number one contender and probably the most interesting matchup for Ilia Topuria at lightweight. But again, I lean towards more to the sides that, he fucked up a pay-per-view event on literally the last day, and, he's being punished for it. And he has to fight one more fight and earn his title shot again, which, again, I think it's fair. Now, one thing I've not liked is how Tsarukyan's kind of been declining fights. Like, I remember he declined a rematch with Gamrot for that July Abu Dhabi Fight Night card, and I'm thinking to myself, why? I mean, is he really in a position to say no? Okay, like, he was the backup fighter for UFC 317. He wasn't needed. And besides, okay, yeah, he's fighting someone below the rankings, but he's the number one contender. No matter who he fights, he's going to be below the rankings. And even then, Gamrot has a win over him. It's disputed, obviously, and most people think Gamrot lost that fight. But still, though, Arman's got no room to negotiate. He lost, it's a loss on his record. You'd think he would want to get that win back. Still, though, he finally got a fight. It's against Dan Hooker. And so he finally has a shot to just show why he is the rightful number one contender. Meanwhile, Dan Hooker, gritty guy. He's been in the UFC longer than most fighters on this card have fights in total. He's been in this organization since 2014. And it's crazy to think he's now just 35, but man, Dan Hooker has been in a lot of wars over the years. Like the Edson Barboza fight, the Poirier fight, the Gamrot fight, most recently. He's fought some of the legends, Jim Miller, Gilbert Burns at lightweight. He's fought some old heads you might not know of, like Ross Pearson or Mark Jacasey or James Vick, too. He's fought damn near everybody. So now, Hooker has a shot to get his long-awaited title shot. But without further ado, let's get down to the breakdown. So, looking at Arman Tsarukyan, and he's a fighter who does it all. He's got well-rounded game with elite wrestling, crisp striking, and exceptional fight IQ. While what really sets Arman apart is his versatility. He can win in almost any area of the fight, whether it's on the feet, in the clinch, or on the ground. On the feet, Tsarukyan is a technical striker. He's got solid footwork, he's got good head movement, and throws a variety of strikes, including clean punches, kicks, and elbows. I was watching some of Tsarukyan's fights from his debut against Islam to now. You saw against OAM or Ants. Oh my God, it's the Canadian fighter. Oliveira or OAMS. I'm gonna call him that. I apologize if I butcher your name. But you saw in that fight, Tsarukyan was kind of sloppy with his striking, but his wrestling is, grade A. Like, his wrestling is fantastic. But you saw how his striking wasn't the most clean or polished. specifically though his boxing. His boxing wasn't the best. He would leave the other hand open a little too much as he's throwing a punch and throwing in combination while keeping his chin a little high. But then you look at his most recent fight against Charles Oliveira. He had a much cleaner guard, more technical punches, and was able to string combinations much better. I will say this for Tsarukyan striking, his kicks are easily his best weapon. He's very dexterous with his kicks. Can kick to the body and head with relative ease. He even goes for axe kicks a lot, which you don't really normally see many fighters do, but he can, and he does it to pretty good effect. I'd say Tsarukyan's best combo would be his jab, cross, switch kick to the body. That's the combo he seems to favor the most. But obviously, Tsarukyan's best attribute is his wrestling. He's an elite grappler with a superb takedown game and great control on top. His ability to chain takedowns together and maintain dominant positions is truly special. What's impressive is his conditioning too. He can keep up a high pace for the entire fight, which allows him to outwork opponents and dominate them in scrambles. And once he gets his opponent to the ground, he's not just looking to control. You do see him look for it to advance, land ground and pound, and search for submissions. Now, Tsarukyan is more of a ground and pound specialist than he is a submission specialist. In fact, he has no submission wins in the UFC. But make no mistake, his ground and pound is fucking ferocious. You look at the Yo Alvarez fight where he just cut him in between the eyes, and Alvarez was just dripping blood all over the canvas. It was horrifying. And obviously, Tsarukyan's fight IQ is extremely high. He's very calm and composed during exchanges, and he doesn't overcommit. He's always staying in control of the pace of the fight. His cardio is top notch. He's got the pace to push 3 rounds or 5 rounds. We've seen it, and depending on what's needed, the really big question for Tsarukyan here is whether he can handle the striking of a veteran like Dan Hooker, who has the ability to finish the fight with a single mistake. Now, something about Tsarukyan too is that, like I said, the man has no quit in him. I'll say this: he was in so many deep submission attempts by Oliveira, that guillotine in the first, that Darce in the third, and he fought out of them. Which was impressive. He survived against the most dangerous finisher in UFC history. So I'll say that about Tsarukyan for sure. Now, looking at Dan Hooker, veteran from New Zealand, who's been in the UFC, like I said, for a long time, since 2014. He's a dangerous striker, known for his high volume and heavy hands. He's a fighter who just loves to stay in the pocket and exchange. He's more than capable of hurting anyone with his punches, especially that left hook like you saw against Gilbert Burns, or that right hand. Hooker is also known for his ability to throw kicks from all angles. His body kicks, in particular, are very sharp. He has a knack for landing them from awkward positions. In terms of his footwork, Hooker is excellent at distance control and has solid lateral movement. He can move in and out of range quickly, and his ability to set up his strikes with feints and timing is one of his biggest strengths. However, his game isn't just striking. He is well-rounded. He does have a grappling game to him. Now, obviously, most of Hooker's grappling game is particularly in the scrambles. He has good takedown defense, and while he's not known for his wrestling, he is capable of getting back to his feet and making the fight a stand-up battle again. Specifically, Dan Hooker has very good, leg lock defense. You saw one of his more recent fights against Claudio Puelles, where he was able to, or against Ali Quinto, where he's able to keep posture pretty well, get his legs out of the entanglement, and or just smash his opponents for just hanging onto the leg too long. I forget who it was exactly. It was one of his earlier fights, but the guy wouldn't let go of his legs, so Hooker just smashed him with elbows from just different angles till he cut up the dude, and eventually the dude just shelled up. So Hooker's nasty. And actually, Hooker has added a new wrinkle to his takedown defense. You saw in the Gamrot fight where Hooker started implementing the ninja choke more, and that has been a sort of new takedown defense that you've seen fighters use a lot. It's actually a really good tool because unlike a guillotine where you kind of cinch up and you have the potential to fall off your back while emitting it, with the ninja choke, you can stay standing and you kind of give your opponents an ultimatum. Either A, fight off the choke, but let go of the leg they have once they're going for the takedown, or possibly complete the takedown, but you're still stuck in the choke. It's, a no-win situation, and that favors the guy implementing the ninja choke. And Dan Hooker used it to great effect against Gamrot. What makes Hooker dangerous too is his ability to take damage and just keep moving forward. I mean, the punishment this guy has taken is fucking nuts. He has been concussed more times than I want to know. Let's be real here. That I'm being real here. His chin has been tested in several wars, and while he's been hurt in the past, he's shown a remarkable ability to stay composed and keep pushing the pace. I mean, look at that Poirier fight. Look at that Artson Barboza fight. I know he got finished in the Barboza fight, and the Poirier fight, that one looked like it changed his career forever. I mean, Hooker still kept fighting on, man. He still kept fighting. You aren't going to get rid of Dan Hooker until his body is forcibly unable to continue. That's the only way you're going to stop Dan Hooker. I mean, you saw the punishment he took from Jalen Turner where he took a fucking head kick and still won with a broken cheekbone and a broken arm. The dude does not know when to stop. I mean, you've seen it, man. He's in his corner, just like bloodied up face, swollen eyes, just going, I love this shit. I mean, Dan Hooker's a savage. I love him. I'm sure most people love him. Who doesn't love Dan Hooker? However, like I said, man, he's been through a lot of wars, and his ability and his durability has come into question in recent fights. And his last few fights have been tough, with losses to some top-tier opponents. Like I said, that Poirier fight looked like it took years off his life. And he fought like that, too, where it looked like he was just underwater or stuck in the mud. But, you know, Dan Hooker has kind of retooled himself and now on a nice 3-fight win streak. TKO of Claudio Puelles, decision wins over Jalen Turner and Dan Hooker. Those last two specifically, people thought he was going to get steamrolled in those fights. Now, looking at how their styles clash, you got Tsarukyan is going to be looking to press the action with his wrestling and pressure. His takedowns are fantastic. He's going to try and get this fight to the ground as quickly as possible. Well, now, I do think Tsarukyan can strike with Dan Hooker and keep it competitive on the feet, especially with the kicks. But I think Dan Hooker is going to be better at, what's what we're looking for here, maintaining distance with his front kicks and just in general his leg kicks, as well as his long-range jab and hook. So I feel like Arman's probably going to have to choose the path of least resistance. If Tsarukyan can get Hooker down, it's going to be a long night for the Kiwi. And Hooker's takedown defense is solid, but Tsarukyan's relentless pace and chain wrestling will put into the test. And I'll say this, Dan Hooker's not going to be an easy guy to control. The only guy to steamroll him on the ground in recent years is Islam, of all people. Gamrot had a hard time doing it, but I think Tsarukyan is much better in his control than Gamrot is. Gamrot's very good at getting takedowns with his chain wrestling, but he's not good at maintaining control. Now, for Dan Hooker, obviously he's going to want to keep this fight standing. I'd say Hooker's best chance to winning is probably time a knee as Tsarukyan comes in. And I'll say this. If this was early in Tsarukyan's career, I could actually see Dan Hooker pulling it off. Specifically the Tsarukyan's fight with OAM. Tsarukyan got caught a few times going for the takedown. It's just he had a pretty good chin on him where he was able to survive the knee landing directly in his face as he's level changing and then keep going for the takedown. But I can't see Dan Hooker, like Dan Hooker could do that as he done it before against Ross Pearson or Jim Miller, for example. Now, Hooker's, in terms of knockout power, has not really been the same in the last few years, but he's still very dangerous. He could TKO Tsarukyan if he lands enough punishing damage. The key in this fight is whether Arman can avoid getting hit too cleanly and get the fight to the ground. If he can, he'll have significant advantages. His top control is more advanced than Hooker's grappling, and on the feet, Hooker is dangerous, but Tsarukyan has shown good power, good head movement, and good defense. Let me be clear here. I'm picking Arman Tsarukyan. I think while Dan Hooker has the experience and the striking and the toughness to compete with anyone in this division, I think Tsarukyan is just too relentless with his pressure, his pace, and his wrestling is just going to be too much. Tsarukyan is more well-rounded, and if he can avoid getting hurt early, I see him taking control of this fight. I love Dan Hooker, and I'll tell you what, if Dan Hooker wins, I will be quite happy that I'm wrong. I'll be quite happy because I love Dan Hooker. But there's a reason why Tsarukyan is like a 5-1 favorite. It's because he has the tools to win. He's not only the younger fighter, his wrestling is just, I think, too much for Hooker to deal with. But I'll say this. I think Arman needs a dominant win in this one because you think about what everyone talks about him, right? Now, he hasn't fought in a year. He last fought in last April, UFC 300. Now, again, I know he was scheduled to fight, but I'm not counting training camps in terms of like being prepared. Like he has not fought since last April. But in fairness, Hooker has not fought since last August against Gamrot. Again, similar reasons. You know, he was scheduled to fight Gaethje, but he had a hand injury. It's important for both men, but I feel like more pressure is going to be on Tsarukyan because everyone has him as the guy at lightweight to give Ilya Topuria the most problems. I mean, I'm not going to trash another podcast, but you look at like the Jackson podcast with like Bear and Rampage Jackson. They do nothing but sing Arman's praises about how he's not only number one contender, but could give Ilya the most trouble. So for this, I feel like just winning isn't going to be enough for Arman. I think Arman needs a statement in this one. So I'm just going to pull that out right there right now. So I think Arman might be fighting with a bit of a chip on his shoulder. And I'll tell you this right now, Hooker's as game as they come, and he could give Tsarukyan a lot of problems if this fight stays on the feet for too long. I can say that. But like I said, I'm picking Arman Tsarukyan, and I'm going to pick him via TKO. I think the ground and pound is just going to be too much, and I think it's going to smash Hooker's face. But like I said, if Hooker wins, I'll be a happy man. But I just don't think he's going to get past Arman. So with that being said, that's been my prediction of the Arman event for Qatar. If you liked the video, like and subscribe, and leave a comment down below on who you think is going to win. But until then, I've been Bo from Brutal Commentary. I thank you all for listening. Stay calm, stay respectful, and enjoy the violence. I'll see you all next time.